Give me a theme.
A theme?
Yeah. Just give me any theme.
Boats.
Boats. Okay, quick convergence. The theme is boats to start with.
Okay.
You ready?
3, 2, 1.
Anchor.
Content.
No way!
Content.
No way! No way! Done. We're done.
Is this real life?
Oh my god.
Clip.
That was insane.
Oh, and this isn't even the clip episode.
We'll save it.
I'm calling in sick. I'm calling in. That was sick. I ruined it. Great.
That was awesome. Do you think we can do it again?
No.
I'm going to do a different theme.
Okay.
The theme is... the theme is...
I can see we're easily getting 300 views on that.
cricket.
The sport.
Yeah.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, ball. Oh my god! This is the best day of my life.
I've never felt this feeling before.
Welcome to Backstage at the Gaffe, the official Green Room podcast of the Gaffe Comedy Club. My name is Harry Ormark. With me, as always, is producer Jacob Burley.
Yeah, I'm Jacob, and this is your one-stop shop for all things comedy, filtered through a pair of people who work in the comedy industry and run a new comedy club. So this is our second episode, and I'm feeling pretty good energy right now.
Yeah, episode 2.
Episode 2. What language is that?
That is the language of legends. France.
Okay, legend. What are we going to be talking about today?
Today we're going to be looking at mainly Type 5s, because we have a show next week. The BBC New Comedy Awards are fast approaching the deadline, I should say, for them. So we've got a show next week, Monday, the 19th, I think. This will go out way after the show.
Monday the 19th of May, 2025.
2025.
Hello,
Hello listeners
in the 2030s.
Yeah. 2025, remember that. When people were still doing Type 5s.
Just before COVID-26 happened.
Yeah, that's it. Everyone's just doing podcasts now. There's no live stand-up anymore. Before we get started,
Let's talk about the gaff. Let's talk about how things are going at the club.
yeah, we're running a comedy club. That's the main one of the main focuses. If people are listening, they're like, "Oh, I really want to start my own comedy club." My advice firstly would be, "Cool, don't."
Don't do it within 50 miles of here, please. That's our catchment, and we're very territorial.
Also, it's tough. It's tough. You put on weight. I put on lots of weight.
Have you?
You don't think? All right.
So when we did our first episode in the last episode, that was our pilot.
Yeah.
And whilst we were pretty happy with the flow that we got, and there were lots of interesting conversation about comedy, we didn't do a great job at establishing kind of who we are, what we do, and what's going on here at the Gaff. So we thought this would be a fun little preamble to talk a little bit about our roles here and what the club is and where we're at.
Yeah. That sounds good. Should we start with what the club is? The
What is
Gaff itself. It is Bristol's home of comedy, and the Southwest. It's Bristol hasn't had a dedicated independent comedy club for like over 20 years. So yeah, we're smack bang city centre, and it's forever. We have everything. We got big tours. We got big people doing their whips. We have our club shows, our progression nights, our more sort of like free open mic stuff. Run comedy over the city. It's the flagship. It's the community hub of comedy. Anything to add?
We've been open for a few months.
Oh yeah, well that's true. We're still very new, and we're still building.
Yeah.
We haven't got like our screens up. There's a projector screen in there and no projector.
It's got the energy of, we've Googled comedy clubs, we've looked at what they look like, and we have replicated what they look like with no understanding of what's going on behind the
we've
scenes.
set up a comedy club in the past.
I'm joking. Joking.
Hey!
I'm trying to make this funny.
Keep trying.
Yeah. No, but we've been running for a few months.
Yeah.
And I think what is quite nice about the idea of doing this podcast now, I think we've broken the record for longest amount of time a comedy club has existed without a podcast starting. You know, a few months is a very long time.
Oh, yeah.
Before launching a pod.
Oh, God, yeah.
But you kind of get to see the business develop and grow from a place of real experience, but you can't just have everything ready to go from the off. You have to start with somewhere. You got to work to a budget. Then you have to slowly establish with time, build your experience, and expand. So
I mean, we didn't have any money when we first opened this place, and I remember like this room that we were in was full of shit, like full.
Not
you know
literally.
What I mean? Yeah.
It was like scrap heap challenge in here. It wasn't like a mound of dung.
What's happened?
And we made it our mission to replace that literal pile of crap with a
audio.
Metaphorical an audio pile of crap.
Pilecrap.wav.
I can have a little tally here for whenever we come up with a name that's better than the name that we have. Just scratch it.
Yeah, that's good. Pilecrap.wav.
What do you do here at the Gaff?
So I'm the founder and managing director. I think would define that.
Yeah, that's pretty all-encompassing.
I think that's pretty on the nose.
What does a managing director do apart from put himself in everything?
Apart from put himself in everything. Oh, fuck. I don't know. It's like asking me what an exec producer does.
Hey.
I don't know.
I bring weight of experience and a commanding presence to the things I do. And I stay at home a lot.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, this is my home. I'm here every day.
So we're two of the 4 department heads here at the Gaff. Your department is kind of just full general operations, and I head up our studio, which is our kind of content wing.
Yeah.
The goal for us, in the end, is for there to be loads of staff here all wondering what we do.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'd love that.
That'd be great. What are those two doing?
They just hang out.
We occasionally leave this room. Anyone got any more coffee for us? The hell's going on in there?
And can you bring it in? Is it possible to install a dumbwaiter that doesn't go up and down but goes like side to side? You know,
you're just talking about like a window.
No. Yeah, I am. We want one of those sushi bar things.
Oh, what, like a yo sushi for coffee?
Yeah, but the coffee just comes around on like a little train.
That'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be cool.
But we need to somehow make that soundproof.
So
it has to be an vacuumous tube.
Yeah.
Vacuumous tube podcast is
The
awesome.
vacuumous tube. Welcome to the vacuumous tube.
We tangent.
We tangent.
Your day-to-day operations.
So,
give me 3 of the things that you do here.
I mean, it's my day is. There's no routine of it still at the moment. You know, I'll be fronting up everything about the business operation, which includes dealing with our investors, our accountant, going through the books, the bookkeeping, so the financial side of the company. There's another one of my big roles here at the moment is artist liaison, I suppose, for all the biggest shows that we've got coming up, and making sure that we've constantly got the best in comedy coming here for their tour shows and work in progresses, etc., etc. And then I guess the other one would be working with all of our other heads of department and rest of the staff on achieving our departmental laid out targets.
Nice. I'm really glad you didn't say KPIs there.
I was so close to say
KPIs.
I
was like
fucking KPIs.
It was like an alien. You could see it was about to
Let me talk about my KPIs.
And
I've got 12 month KPIs, but we've broken them down into monthly structured KPIs.
I feel like I'm gonna need to cut that out.
No. Leave it in. Leave it in. Leave it in. You go. Everyone who listens to this. Sorry, not everyone. My mum, who will listen to this, she'll be sat listening to be like, "Why is she not talking about the KPIs?"
And my mum will text me and say, "What's the KPI?" I was going to leave it in. It's definitely.
And my dad will text you saying, "Hey, you want to go to the movies?"
And then your dad will text me and say, "Have you got 20 quid? I need to take Harry to the movie." I read about it in a self-help with your son book.
Self-help with your son. The title of that implies that it's self-help with your son. So it's not like it's not you bonding with your son for self-help. It's not you getting self-help to bond with your son. It's both you and your son.
Yeah.
Both need self-help, but you're too afraid to do it alone.
Yeah, it's father-son activity.
Father-son self-help.
But also getting some work done.
A father-son dynamic, very, very much stereotypically known for never talking about their emotions.
What
to
about
self-help?
They only talk about their emotions.
Yeah. That's just two men working on an old car and no one talking. And occasionally at the very end of it, the son will be, "Oh, by the way, my wife's pregnant," and the dad will shake his hand and they won't speak for another 18 years.
Yeah. So you're here all the time.
I'm here all the time. All the time. I don't event manage anymore. That's
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I have been able to start taking nights off. But I'll normally be here working till like 9 anyway. The other day I left at 9 and I went, "Wow, this is so early." Genuinely. I was so excited. I got back and I watched a movie.
Which one?
I think it was Mickey 17.
Oh, is that available now?
It's on Prime, but I had to buy it.
Oh. Do you like it?
It was all right. It was like a tenner to rent. I was like, "Yeah, I'll watch it." Yeah, I know. It was steep, but I was excited because I had a night off.
Yeah.
Because I was home at 10. So I bought a bag of popcorn and watched Mickey 17.
Tim Key's in that, isn't he?
Tim Key is in that, yeah.
Friend of the
Chicken
pod.
Man. No, Pigeon Man. Friend of the pod. We can't say that for people we don't know.
Manifest it.
Yeah. Oh, who else in that movie? Stephen Yen's in that movie. Friend of the
Future
pod.
Yeah.
Mark Ruffalo, friend of the pod.
Huge friend of the pod.
Oh, Mark Ruffalo. Can't get him out.
I have to put my phone on silent just because of Ruffalo.
Oh yeah, Ruffalo keeps trying to come in. In fact, Ruffalo, stay out.
Get out of here.
Come on, you can't come in, Ruffalo.
This is supposed to be soundproof, Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo wants to come in. No, Mark Ruffalo.
I oversee productions that we're producing with third parties, some internal productions. I look after our podcast slate, the clips that we make. Like I'm on several of these things, but at the moment I'm the guy that edits the clips that you might see go out on the Gaffe social media.
Yeah.
And that means that I watch a lot of your MCing.
Oh God, I'm so sorry.
And you do an enormous amount of crowd work, whereas some MCs might kind of lean into their material. You like to kind of sift through the audience, desperately trying to find something funny.
Don't have to say desperately.
But I've been doing clips for you on and off for the last 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And the rate at which a clippable thing turns up is increasing. Like I can now, I've had moments recently where I'll take a 10-minute section from a show. I don't want to talk about this too much because clips is the next episode.
Sure.
But I found 3 clips in there.
Yeah.
Which is really impressive.
Yeah.
It also makes my job a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because it means we can put out more clips more efficiently.
Yeah.
Whereas I've had some MCs, really good MCs, and they'll have a really good show, but in terms of generating spontaneous, funny moments, something that you'd associate more with improv, actually.
Yeah, and I mean, like, there's as well. I know we'll get into this more later on, but it's tough to play to the clip. Right, because when you're emceeing, when you're on stage, you're on stage doing a live show, making something unique for those people. Because every show is different. It can be the same comics every night. It's always gonna be different because the comics will play with the crowd and they'll play with the external factors. They'll play with however their day is going or whatever. And the clip is like, because you need a clip to be like, if it's from a live show, it's like 30 seconds, 60 max, right? Obviously people release their longer bits of like their full crowd work clips that might be like 10 minutes long on YouTube, where they break that up onto socials and stuff like that. But the quick like snippet isn't that long, and like no comic really is going to be doing a live show in their head doing crowd work thinking 30 seconds make a gag, I'm going to move on.
Yeah, I
just
don't
for
think
the
you
clip.
can.
No, because it will affect the live show more.
One of
and
the
it will kill the live show.
benefits comedically that a clip has is the edit,
Yeah.
where you can go from funny moment and you can basically hard cut to the next funny bit, to the next funny bit. As long as you're supplying context, you can make it funny and make it very efficient, which is similar in terms of efficiency to a very well-worked set, like a Type 5.
Oh my God, we're back on the topic. For this episode, we're going to be talking about Type 5s.
Type 5s.
Type 5s!
There's a lot of jargon in comedy. I feel like we don't realise it a lot of the time.
I thought he was coach for Liverpool. What's his name? Oh, he left.
Jargon clip.
Jurgen Klopp's evil twin.
Jargon clip. Na 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 na.
I thought you were doing Agadoo then. Jargon clip, push by an apple, shake a tree.
That's for a lower tier football club.
That's me.
Drop out.
That's in my
That's
brain.
a Shrewsbury Town.
Yeah. That's a monkey with the syllables.
I can't believe you're the one who brought it into football.
Yeah, you could tell how shit I know fucking football.
Man, I'm sweating. I'm having too much fun.
Yeah, I'm having a fun time. This is a fun one.
What's a Type 5?
A Type 5 is the comics, like sort of no fat, strong gag rate, sets up with it's their best 5. It's their best club 5.
Who has a Type 5?
Every comic would have had to have a Type 5 at some point. And Type 5s can sort of always change, but every comic will have a Type 5 at some point. But the comics that will be like really on the ball with their Type 5 is those that are like starting to break into these progression clubs or going for the big competitions, because it's basically Type 5 is your audition. You know what I mean? As a comedian, it's your audition, because like you don't have to audition for open mic nights, and you might have relationships with clubs where you don't really need your ins and stuff like that. But to get booked at most clubs, you'll need to send them a clip, and if that clip, or if you don't, you'll get a progression spot or something based off a recommendation, and that was pretty much 99% of the time a 5-minute spot.
It's a bit like an ID, isn't it?
An ID.
It's like being ID'd. Like it's your
Yeah.
verification as a comic.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I'm offering spots at my night. Yeah, I would say especially if it's an established city night or one of your kind of rural nights where they're much more likely to have paying audience members.
Yes, yeah.
They'll say, looking for people local to the southwest, for example, send me your clips to this email or something like that. And the idea, in a way, is that someone has to have put a little bit of work in to have a clip and to have a clip.
Oh,
uploaded.
you gotta have the Type 5 is some of the hardest work, I think, personally.
So a comic wouldn't just have a Type 5 off the bat when they start doing stand up, right?
No, people would do it in 5 minutes, but they won't have a Type 5.
So what's the difference between doing 5 minutes and a tight 5?
I think it's different based on where you are, right?
Where you are in what?
The country.
Okay.
Because like in Bristol, for example, so we run an open mic night as part of the Gaffe. We run Mondays and Tuesdays at the Robin Hood.
And that's a free night.
Free night, and it's either for comics who are starting out, or it's for comics who are practicing on their club stuff, getting their club sets ready, or it's for more established comics to test their new material.
It's almost like a work in progress.
Yeah,
but for small sets, right?
Exactly.
Like
yeah,
we talked about last episode.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It's just the figure stuff out night. Hence why it's a free comedy show. It's a lovely night, but like we'll normally have like a few people who might be like under 10 gigs. They'll be doing 5 minutes, right? But sort of once you've done like, I suppose you've passed maybe 20 gigs in Bristol, you're all based off all the other open mic nights as well in the city, you'll be getting booked for 10s, not 5s, because that's sort of how it works here and at quite a lot of different regional places. Whereas when you're in London, like you are not getting more than a 5 anywhere for years.
Is that to do with the density of comics in the area? Do you think?
Yeah, and I think of the expectation of them as well. You've got an unbelievable resource of incredible comics, a lot of which have moved there to be comics, who are all running like they have to, if you're doing fives in London, you have to have a type 5. London is quite. It's always, people say this about Bristol. They say Bristol is one of the loveliest places to start.
Yeah.
Because it's so nice and welcoming, and we got a real good scene here and a community here. So if you start out, you spend like 3-4 years in Bristol, and then you head to London, you're in a better place to get into these London clubs because your shit is now, it's going to be tight. So that's it's the same for a lot of stuff, but
there's a few factors that play into that as well, isn't there? For a phrase that I've heard you use a lot before is the idea of Bristol being quite a good incubator for comedians.
Yeah, definitely.
The factors that play into that, obviously you need a good sense of community.
Yeah.
You also need a lot of gigs.
Yeah.
I think it will correlate to some degree with the population of the town. Bristol's a very creative, artistic place. But it's that can be backed kind of statistically by the number of people that we know who've developed and emerged as comics here in Bristol, be they from the town or they've moved to the town at some point in their life, and then they've moved away to generally London and become established comedians.
You know what we're seeing now, though, since the development of the club here, is Bristol is, for a long time, been a very underutilized comedy city with a limited number of gigs. There was elements of like prejudice in places like when we first moved here 10 years ago, 7 years ago, whatever that was. And in that time, it's built into being more of a community. There's been people setting up more nights, and it's with our old clubs, and now with this club, with the comedy festival we've run, with the Bristol Comedy Garden, it's become a destination comedy city. People weren't bringing their tour shows to Bristol. Now everyone's bringing their tour shows to Bristol. And because of that, what we're seeing now, for the first time in a long time, is comics are moving to Bristol.
Yeah.
As opposed to London or outside of London, they're moving to Bristol because they know they can get paid work. They know there's a pro-level club. They know it's easy and accessible to get around the country. And the Southwest is developing in its pro-level of comedy. With that happening, that's now forcing the Bristol comics we've got to up their game.
Yeah.
So now a lot of comics aren't just staying and playing their same nights in Bristol having fun. They're traveling around the scene. They're traveling around the country to get gigs. Like Hilliard and Amari drove to do Paul Hilliard and Amari Douglas. They drove up to Monkey Barrel to do their sign up on the night.
Wow.
And then drove back after the gig. That's like a 15-hour round trip.
Monkey Barrel
in Edinburgh. Yeah.
For anyone international, that's madness. That's like one of your American journeys.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a flight, basically.
Oh, yeah. It's an 8-hour trip. It's an 8-hour drive. So they drove there in the morning, did the gig, drove back through the night.
That's insane.
And both went to work the next day.
That's Plymouth doing Sunderland away.
Yeah. So now a lot of Bristol comics are working on their type 5s. They're working on their club stuff because Bristol has very quickly become a pro comedy city.
That's what I want to come in on. So the infrastructure in Bristol as a city for emerging comics is now very, very good. This club is a big part of that. We're a symptom of that emerging infrastructure.
Absolutely.
I think comics are starting to realise that London has a carrying capacity for the amount of comedy that it can have and it can spotlight. You know, London's massive, so it can carry a large number of comics, but there's only a certain number of audience members and there's only a set amount of time that they can spend enjoying comedy. And comedians have realised that there are cities that are not being utilised at all. And Bristol has a real potential to become the UK's kind of second city, or certainly England's second city when it comes to comedy. And, you know, I'm from the north of England. If you take Liverpool out of the equation, for example, especially when I was growing up, which was before Liverpool had become really big UK-wide for comedy.
Yeah.
That scene is still massively underutilised, I would say, compared to some cities in the south, like Bristol, like London, of course. You could throw Brighton in there as well.
Yeah.
These are cities that are becoming much more established. And it's great to see that comedians are realising that they can go and base themselves elsewhere. And audiences can actually have comedy as part of their lives and live comedy as part of their lives, as opposed to just being tour destinations.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well, Bristol's like, you know, with the work that we're doing here, with I think you're right with second city, because you've got maybe think of Chicago, right? Because Bristol, you've now got here, the Gaffe Comedy Club, dedicated to live comedy and stand-up comedy. You got the Bristol Improv Theatre, dedicated to improvised comedy, and you've got the Wardrobe Theatre, dedicated to fringe theatre.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's insane. The 3 different, basically fringe venues exist in one city.
And the audience potential is way higher than... The demand can be a lot higher than what those venues combined can provide.
Oh god, yeah. Yeah. But all it takes is just regularity in the building of the audience that are now aware that this stuff is on their doorstep.
It has to be part of the culture.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Type 5, I think, is a big part of that culture, because that isn't common knowledge to somebody who's just getting into comedy.
No.
They might have watched a lot of 5-minute sets on YouTube and not quite recognised, first off, that they're all 5 minutes long to start, and second, that there is a joke density in a Type 5.
Absolutely. Doing 5 minutes of comedy for a year, and you only do 5 minutes, you still probably aren't ready for your Type 5.
It must vary from person to person.
Yeah, but I would still... Because I think what you want to do really is... Because like a lot of people say, like when you start stand-up comedy, you'll get booked for 5 minutes, but you want to write 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're doing 10 minutes, you want to have had written 15 minutes. 15, 20, you probably want... At 20, you want to have like 40, basically, really. Of stuff you're playing around with, and you've been doing different sets, and you've been figuring stuff out, and you've been doing stuff differently, and you're experimenting constantly. Because the first 6 months of you gigging it won't be anything about you as a comedian. You'll still just desperately be focused on trying to make them laugh. So you're not listening to yourself. You're not and then you're not. If you're not listening to yourself, you're not writing for you to then play with them. You're just writing for them.
Now that's interesting, because I think you've got quite strict definitions for a Type 5, which is something that I want to dig into.
Yeah.
But it's not just, for you, 5 minutes of making people laugh. I've made people laugh for 5 minutes, which is a very rudimentary approach to stand-up, which someone who was very new would have.
Yeah.
So can you tell me some, for you, of the key characteristics of a Type 5?
I mean, the biggest one, I think there's quite a few, but the biggest thing that you need to convey, I think, is persona. Who are you? You know, like that's what people want to see in a Type 5. Sometimes that's not even your funniest material. You need to keep working to get it as funny as it can be.
So what is persona? Is it a style, or is it about identity? Is it about you?
A bit of both. I mean, let's start with the first. Let's start with identity. Let's start there. That's going to be the main thing, right? Because stand-up comedy is very individualistic. It's very subjective. It's very opinion-based. And it's very character-based. No one stand-up should be the same, which is tough when there's a lot of stand-ups, more than there's ever been sort of ever gigging at one point, you know, nationally and internationally. So then you want to define what makes you interesting. Because if let's say, for example, like classic thing that was happening a lot more 8 years ago, you don't see it that much anymore, especially in Bristol. Rarely see this in Bristol, but let's imagine there's a stand-up comedy night. It's normally a free show where you have got 6 straight white guys in their 20s all doing 10 minutes. All probably in their late 20s, so let's say thinning hair, all doing this pub gig lifestyle, so probably all got a bit of a belly. What makes those people different? Yeah. Because you might as well just be watching one person. The pool's pretty thin to draw diverse comic identities from that, isn't it? If you put on a bill that is 6 people who all seem pretty similar, the odds are that at least a few of them are going to be pretty similar comically. Yeah. But if you are working on, well, who am I? What makes me different is, in theory, if you had that again with sort of more people who are pro working and pro gigging and really working on their stuff, that's going to feel like a very diverse lineup, because people will have various different Type 5s that they can chop and change based off someone who's gone before them, but they will mainly still do the thing that they'll convey who they are to you. It's diversity in material, isn't it? Yeah. And I think that comes from, that's why the Type 5 is much more common
in very experienced comics, because there's a level of vulnerability to comedy
Yeah.
that you have to get over and be fine with and be somewhat removed from
Yeah.
to be able to do a type 5 that really expresses that persona.
Yeah.
And you have to have been doing comedy for a little while and to have aged a little bit. As, you know, we see it in comics who are younger. They're more aloof in terms of their material because they don't want to dig into themselves too much because they feel like they're too exposed. You develop a thicker skin, you get over that, you stop caring about that, and then in a more versatile, more established comic, you'll see this vulnerable content that they're completely over and they're fine with, and that persona is able to completely shine through.
Yeah.
For me, there's a real authenticity to the type 5, which I think is what you're talking about as well.
Yeah.
Where the person is completely at ease and completely comfortable with themselves, and that belies a confidence which early comics just they can't get to the same level of.
Yeah.
And I think you could see we know a lot of comics. The one who's in my head actually at the moment is someone I used to book way back in the day, Morgan Rees, who's a fantastic comedian from Wales.
Yeah.
He's doing some of the same jokes that I saw him do years ago when I was booking him. But it's like it's different material because the manner in which they're delivered, the confidence, the certainty with which they're being delivered is so powerful compared to what it was like before. Morgan was a great performer back then. Now Morgan's unbelievable. The same material. You don't drop that material because there's no point, is there? If it's not broke, no need to fix.
100%. Yeah. I think it's dangerous when it's there's so much of people burning material for clips, for podcasts, for shows, but the club set can always exist in the club set and always exists in a club setting. I think as well there's an element of arrogance too, where like a comic's like, oh, I can't tell this joke because this joke went viral. It's like you're in a comedy club, 90% of them, probably 99% of them haven't seen that.
I do think that people generally massively underestimate the reach that clips and that audiences have. I think it's a very early comic mentality to go, well, I did this joke in a room. It's the biggest room I've ever done a joke to, and it would be 50 people. So I can't do it again in case someone saw it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, the human brain, we can look into the science of this, the human brain cannot comprehend numbers beyond kind of in the hundreds, I think.
Yeah.
So the idea of, you know, if you have a clip seen by 1,000 people, that's quite a small viewership for a clip.
Yeah.
Those people aren't going to be in your audience. And actually, you can have a clip viewed millions and millions of times, and you can go into an audience and easily have no one see that clip.
Easily.
I mean, there's people who've been doing material, you know, comics who are in their 60s have been doing the same material for 50 years, and the audience is still laughing.
Yeah.
Because either they've never seen it before, or it's still funny.
Yeah.
It's not the shock factor that makes something funny.
No.
It's the fact that you've delivered it in a funny way.
Yeah.
I rewatch sets all the time. I like to see people do material all the time. I mean, I still laugh at your show, which I'm directing.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's not just, I find certain things funny if you say them differently or you change the way you deliver them because there's a shock factor in there. But I still find the funny things that you do funny because they are funny. It's not about the novelty of it. And I think that's one of the signs that a comic is maturing, is when they do the same material. I remember doing it when I was starting out. I remember people saying it to me when they were starting out, oh, I'm doing a new set this week.
Yeah.
And they will do it every week. And you're like, okay, but now you're just doing all your jokes you're just doing for the first time. The real challenge is, can you improve them?
Yeah.
Can you tighten them up? And that's where the phrase type 5 comes from.
Because it's got to be... That type 5 has to be flawless. Yeah. It's got to be confident. They got to trust you. Because I ran my type 5 to film last night. And because I'd done it the night before and I was very happy with it, but I'd gone over by 30 seconds. I think that was in my head slightly because the gag rate's there, the trust is there, the persona's there, the confidence is there, but it feels like I'm rushing ever so slightly.
Yeah.
And rushing ever so slightly means you're losing another big part of the type 5, timing.
Yeah. You're naturally quite a fast speaker.
I know I'm naturally, but even like I watched it last night, I was like, this is quick.
Even for me.
Because the only thing I'm now thinking about. Because I'm overanalyzing, and you have to overanalyze because you gotta really pick apart everything about what you're doing as a comic. Because this is why the comedian struggles a lot because you're gonna be on the road.
Mm-hmm.
It's very isolating. You need to make sure you got a community in comedy somehow, because what you unpick and you deep dive into every single thing that's about your performance, your joke writing, your gag rate, but then your background, your trauma, your identity, to find that vulnerability.
Yeah.
Because you know that being the most vulnerable means you're the most authentic, which means you're the most funny.
Mm.
So comics are they will be tearing themselves open, exposing that rawness, and then going into it and being like, why is this, how can this rawness be better?
Yeah.
And it's like, people go, I wonder why comics are so depressed all the time. You know what I mean? It's because it's what they're doing.
I think that's one aspect of it, but I also think it's about it. You know, if you're not over it, you shouldn't be doing it on stage. And I think
oh God, yeah.
A comic will they'll delve into this material, they'll write it all out, and then you develop an immunity to it, and that's when you can really hone this sculpture into something that's close to perfect or as good as you can get it while still preserving it. And I think that's when you go from the rawness, I think, is in the writing. I think the transition is then into it being a performance. And I think that...
Because it is always still a performance, you're right.
And I'd love to see, it's an experiment that's never really done, but I'd love to see that writing handed to another performer and see what they could do with it. It kind of turns into a play.
Oh, yeah, the set swap is always something like Christmas shows. People will do like a set swap.
But they'll do it in kind of a taking the piss type way.
Yeah, it's shows that are for the comics. But it's no shows for an audience.
You've basically got an excellent piece of writing that could be taken by a performer and done a different way. Obviously, it's being done for comedy, and the best performer is almost universally the person that wrote it because it's so much about them. Yeah. But there is this element of... You've written it, you've learnt it to such a degree that like someone doing a play night after night, you should be able to do it on autopilot. Yeah. Now, I've never reached that point with one of my sets. I never did a set for long enough for it to become a type 5 as you would define it. However, as you know, I'm a keen runner. Yeah. And there's a point early on when I was running where you're thinking about the fact that you're running all the time. And you're thinking about what it means and how you're doing it and how you can improve it and where you're going and the distances and whatever. And there is a point, and I could not tell you when it is, when I wasn't thinking about it at all.
Just running.
It was like me walking.
Alright, Forrest Gump. Whenever I was going somewhere, I was running.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I do think when a type 5 is strong enough and you've got the basic writing and delivery and X, Y, Z down, you can be off your game and still be good enough. Yeah. When it's your job as a stand-up, you can go and you can do that 5. Yeah. And the audience will enjoy it. They'll be able to tell potentially that you're slightly off it, or they won't walk away going, that was the best thing ever. Yeah. But I do think that I know that it varies room by room, but I do think that you would have to make the comparison between you at your best and you when you're off it. And then go, oh, actually, I don't think that Harry was anywhere near as good as I've seen him before. But I think your core audience, who are also sometimes a little bit on autopilot, they're nowhere near as switched on as the comic is, will still enjoy it if the material is strong enough. I do not think that a comic ever needs to be perfect on their top game because it's so hard to be on that level all the time. And that's why a comic will get super nervous and will deliver an astonishing performance maybe when they're doing the biggest room they've ever done or when they're doing their special or something like that. But there's a comfort in that. I think maybe we're reading autopilot as two different things, but it's when you're feeling comfortable and you're feeling chill about doing your show. Yes, right. You can kind of reach levels because you're not pushing yourself. Yeah. And you can kind of relax into it. Yeah. And for me, I think that's a really important part of a type 5. Is you doing that material where the persona's nailed down and it's written perfectly and in its writing and its delivery, it's not going to get any better. But if you're doing it for the first time and you're not quite comfortable in it, you've not worn your shoes in, the sofa's not got the imprint of you, that's still not quite your type 5. The type
I agree.
5 is when you've done it a few times.
Yeah, I completely agree. completely agree.
Like I had it with you. We went to a show the other day. It was a reunion show, and you did 5 minutes. You did this set that you're talking about, a little bit over.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. I also changed it since then. Because again, you keep do. You always do.
It was tweaking because it's your work in progress.
I love that. There's a lot of change from that gig that was 3 days ago.
It was on Sunday. Yeah. And today is Thursday.
Yeah, 3 days ago.
So I came up to you after that, and I said, I think that's one of the best performances I've seen you do.
Yeah, nothing to do with 8 pints of beer I'd already drunk.
I think it's best that we gloss over that.
It's a reunion.
But you were completely at ease, and that was the thing for me, is that there was a comfortableness there. You'd done the material enough, and you knew the crowd really well, and the room was really fun, and the energy was fantastic, and you got your PB for doing that material. It was really strong, and there was a confidence to it that really stood out and had the room. You had them in your claws, basically.
Yeah.
And that's an element of, even if you'd forgotten some of that material, I would still say it was stronger than a night where you'd been less kind of on it.
Yeah.
But you'd got all the material right.
Mm.
There's a huge amount of world building happening in this kind of routine, isn't there?
It's like improv. When you talk about world building, it's because that's what the first thing you have to do, right? Is you have to build the world, and then you can play within the world.
Yeah.
But that's still like, if you had to audition for an improv thing, and your audition, if you treat it like that, your audition is you're coming out and you're being more play immediately in a world that you've built in your head, but no one else knows or understands. It's gonna be funny. No one's gonna get it. So you got to make that opening. Basically, the what's the word I'm thinking of?
What, your cell? Your
it's no, it's the I can't remember the word. You set, like, in a movie there'll be loads of exposition. And exposition is never the funniest stuff. You do it in sketch comedy.
Yeah.
You need your exposition for the sketch. You got to do it as fast as you can, because that's not funny. But sometimes you do something where, because it's normally pullback reveal for sketch, right? Yeah. It's an inversion. But then let's say, for example, like Tim Robinson's sketches, that exposition takes a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Because he'll do exposition, the inversion, which is still exposition, because that's like a normal sort of, like, something funny might be happening, or there's a weird person, you're like, oh, this is the sketch, and then there's the reveal.
I mean, Tim Robinson, whose material, I think you should leave on Netflix, for example, is very much playing on assuming that the audience knows how this is meant to go.
Yeah.
And it kind of inverting based on a context that exists outside of its own existence. Of a sketch, for example. I think there's an interesting thing here that we're going to do an episode down the line about the finished product and specials.
Yeah.
Where we did an episode about whips for the pilot, and the finished product is going to be similar to that in terms of the length of material we're talking about. But there's actually a shared identity between a special and a type 5. In that, really, it's the best that it can be. You've wrung out all the persona and all the material and all of that. And a critical element of the modern special is narrative and context and fulfilling a theme. Yeah. And it turns out that the type 5 also has the theme and the context as a critical component of how it operates.
100%. 100%.
Whereas someone coming and just doing 5 minutes of jokes, the audience may feel like they've not had as holistic an experience.
Yeah, and it's going to be funny. I'm sure it's going to be funny. But if you treat your type 5 as an audition, each club will have a various idea of the type of comic they want to be booking. And they also will make sure they don't want to put too many of the same sort of comic on one bill. Yep. So it's a diverse lineup. And if you're talking about the BBC, for example, what everything's filming for, that's a TV show.
Yep.
at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So it's all like that's just gonna be who are you?
Yeah. So the audience reaction, and you'll count yourself as an audience member, as a promoter. You're feeling comfortable. You're not really thinking about whether it's going well or not, because you just know it's going well.
I think the audience feel comfortable. I mean, I've heard this because no gig is different. I've seen people run their Type 5 and bomb their ass off, and then run the same Type 5 the next night and kill the room. And it's hard for you to like pinpoint as to why. There's a million different external factors as to why.
People normally just mention the room, don't they? But there's so much nuance.
Oh yeah.
Into why something may or may not work.
Absolutely. Try to think of the moments where I've eaten shit, you know? Especially when I'm gigging more lately. Like there's been... I'm trying to really think about some of the worst bombs I've had recently. But yeah, I don't fear it anymore, you know?
I think that's such an important part of it, is stopping caring.
Yeah.
Especially if you're part of an ensemble. If you were fine, you didn't get the reaction that you necessarily were gunning for, but the audience tends to... You can get quiet audiences that have had a really good time.
Oh, God, yeah, 100%.
So I think when you develop more of that immunity to it, that's what I'm talking about, the autopilot thing. It becomes part of the job. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Backstage at the Gaff. We hope you enjoyed it.
Yes, thanks for watching. Please give us a follow on socials. You can follow the Gaffe Comedy Club at the Gaffe Comedy. You can see all the wonderful shows we've got coming up. You can see some of the clips from this podcast. Yeah, thanks very much.
Similarly, please subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on wherever you get your podcasts.
Yes.
And if you've got things that you want us to talk about, drop us a line.
Yeah, get in touch.
On social media. If you've got questions about what we just talked about, or if you want to kick off about what we just talked about because you're certain it's wrong, we will fight you.
If you want to come in and you want to come on the podcast, then don't do that.
But only to disagree with us.
Yeah.
If you agree with us, we don't want to hear
No,
from
I mean, we're talking about the day-to-day running of the Gaff. Maybe we should bring in someone who works in recruitment. It's like, how does your job compare to us?
Yeah. I think that's the bit why people are listening, is they'd like to know how our job compares to every other job.
Yeah.
So if you work for a comedy club, we don't want to hear from you.
No.
If you're a firefighter.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
Fisherman.
Fish per person.
Or a woman. Harry, what's our closing line?
Always eat waffles when it's a Tuesday.
See you next week.
See you next week.